How's it going, guys? Welcome to episode 6 of Assassin's Creed Odyssey Let's Talk, where I am playing through the amazing Assassin's Creed Odyssey game, but also talking through various aspects of ancient Greek life and culture, and myths, and stuff that I've liked and learnt over the years. This episode, episode 6, I am talking about one of the factors that I consider contributed to the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War, namely the Megarian Decree. So essentially what it is it's a treaty that bans a lot of trade from a city-state called Megara, which doesn't sound very big, but apparently it leads to a war. Please do check it out, and if you like what I'm doing so far, please subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, make sure your notifications are up so you know when new episodes are uploaded. If you don't know what's been going on, then why not? What are you doing here? Make sure you check out my previous videos somewhere up there. Let's get right into it. Okay, so we're back. So if you remember from last time,
Increase speed!
we finished sort of exploring Ithaca and finishing off whatever mini quests were left. Whatever mini quests were left in Kefalonia. Just to sort of finish off that part of the game before we took off to Megaris and really get started with the game and with the history and the Peloponnesian War. So today what I want to talk about is the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War, and for me I think there are 3 or 4 factors that led to the outbreak of the war. The one that I want to talk about today is something called the Megarian Decree. But before I begin, let me just drop in a little disclaimer to say, when I'm talking about the Peloponnesian War, I mean the war that happens between 431 to 404 BC. Because technically, the Peloponnesian War begins 460 BC. And this is usually referred to as the First Peloponnesian War. This is something I can come back to, but for now I think it's just enough to say that Athens was dominated, and the middle years of the First Peloponnesian War really marked the peak of Athens' power. During this, Athens had control over Megara, which enabled many of its early successes because of Megara's strategic position as a convenient port on the Corinthian Gulf. It basically just meant that Athenian rowers could be transported overland, and a lot of Athens ships could be kept in Megara's port of Pagae. Initially, Megara was a member of the Peloponnesian League, and in 466 BC, something called the 30 Years' Peace is signed between Athens and Sparta, bringing the First Peloponnesian War to an end. Okay, so what I just did there was just cut through some of the fighting and just hired some of those Greeks. So the First Peloponnesian War is at an end. But concerning Megara, the treaty returned Megara to the Peloponnesian League. The decree, the Megarian Decree, is issued during the Second Peloponnesian War, but I'm just going to call the Second Peloponnesian War the Peloponnesian War outright.
To your positions!
Commander on board!
We'll stop here! I got him.
Good! He'll be a valuable asset to the crew.
Will he be enough?
Don't worry. There'll be plenty of opportunities to recruit more people as we go.
Something tells me we're going to need them.
We should set a course for Megaris. A long voyage can be relaxing, but we are not really the cruising type. If you want to spice things up a bit, you can always check my log over there. I make
Isn't
a
that
note
very
of
rude
anything
kind
I
of you,
hear
one
that
of
could be
us?
of interest to a daring captain.
Oh yeah.
Ready to depart!
The war has changed the face of the Greek world. If it's not Spartans or Athenians, it's bandits and pirates. The gods protect us all from mankind.
Oh yeah, let's just beat up some Athenians, because why the hell not? If there's money in it for me, then I am gonna go for
Sail
it.
up!
But Megara itself, it has had quite an interesting history, and it's definitely had more involvement in wars than I initially gave it credit
Everyone
for.
to your
But
positions!
before I started doing research about the Megarian Decree, I was like, Megara is just a bit boring, isn't it? Like, the only thing it's really known for is this infamous decree. But it turns out, no. It turns out Megara has been a thorn in the sides of many leaders. And its history is quite interesting regarding its involvement in both of the wars, so in the first and the second Peloponnesian War. And I suspect this is probably to do with its strategic position. Oh, I'm trying to kick this guy off the ship and he just won't fall off. Come on, like here. I should have got him. Again, sneaky eye. I'm in trouble. Maybe I should have upgraded my weapon before I started. I hope not. I hope it doesn't take longer. See here again. Just fall off. There we go. Like shooting fish in a barrel. I got annoyed with this guy. Just shot a bunch of arrows in his head. But, coming back to Megara, it was one of the few states that actually fought alongside Sparta and Athens during the Persian Wars. If you remember from a few episodes ago, I was speaking about how Persia was a great threat coming from east into the Mediterranean. And Athens, Sparta, and about 31 odd city-states of something like 400 actually fought against Persia. Megara was one of them. But here's where it gets a little bit interesting, I think. In 460 BC, Megara defected from the Peloponnesian League over border disputes with its neighbour, Corinth. Oh yeah, here I get chased by a bounty hunter and I'm not up for that. But actually, we meet him later, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, not having that be. Let's actually get into Megara. Let's enter Megaris. Oh, I should maybe explain. Megaris is a populous state of ancient Greece. It's west of Attica, north of Corinth. Oh, let's not talk over this.
The wolf takes no prisoners! see. The Athenian dog Pericles fears you. He cowers in his Parthenon, surrounded by playwrights and sophists. He dares not face you with honor on the battlefield. He knows you are too strong. He knows Athens' days in Margolis are numbered. And he knows Athens is next!
Okay, so a couple of things there, I suppose. Pericles is just the statesman at the time. Well, he is the statesman at the time, but I shouldn't call him like just. Because under Pericles, Athens flourishes. It's under Pericles' leadership that we get something called the Golden Age of Athens, which is about 5th century BC, and is where Athens thrived in terms of culture and playwrights and musicians and art and literature and everything.
You arrived in time to watch my pater achieve a glorious victory.
Yeah, Pericles, what a man. But Pericles is also one of the other factors for the outbreak of the war. So, Megaris then, west of Attica and north of Corinth.
I heard his
And
children
most of
died
his
in Sparta
inhabitants
many
are
years
just
ago.
sort
He
of
adopted me
seafarers,
into his
and you can
household
see there's a lot
after
of sea
his
around.
previous family failed him.
Megaris just
never bring
refers to
dishonor
this
to him.
general area around Attica,
Sometimes things
but
happen
there
in
are
a
a
way
bunch
that you
of
don't plan or
like
expect.
states within it, so we just
History
saw
has a way of remembering
Megara,
things strangely.
You
etc.
talk as if you were there.
Maybe I was.
Mount Garania
Nonsense.
dominates
You're
the
too young
centre
to
of
have
the
witnessed
region.
such things.
We
But enough of the past, let's
will
discuss the
explore
future.
Garania a bit. I think there's a fort on it.
What is a
Okay.
mercenary doing sailing into a war they aren't being paid to fight in?
But anyway,
Tell me why you're really here before I cut you down for wasting my time.
in 460, Megara defects from the Peloponnesian League, so
I've
the
come
league
to meet the
under
wolf of
Sparta's
Sparta.
dominance. Because of border disputes with Corinth, and Corinth is another factor.
You cannot
For me
simply meet
personally,
with Nicolaus.
Corinth is
He has
the
command of the
main
entire
instigator
Spartan
of the
army.
war, but
If you truly came all this
I'll
way to
explain
meet
that all
him,
in due time.
you might be disappointed.
Are you sure you're in charge here? You don't strike me as a typical Spartan. Perhaps it's best if I just talk
But
with
this
Nikolaos.
defection
A sense
from the
of humor is not a
Peloponnesian
trait
League
I
seems
see
to be
being
one of the
useful for
reasons for
a
the
salesman.
First Peloponnesian War.
If
So
you're here to undrach
Megara
me,
is already
I
starting
could
to
make
cause a
use
lot
of
of
a
problems
capable
in the Greek
mercenary.
world for what seems to
The
be
fleet might be
quite
strong,
a
but Megaris is
inconspicuous
firmly in
little
Athenian
island.
control. We need to weaken their position if we are to take to the field and drive them back to Athens.
Ooh, being sneaky.
Your father, who is he exactly?
Nicolaus, the Wolf of Sparta. He was impressed with my skill when I was a boy and took me under his wing. He trained me himself and eventually adopted me into his house. He is my father and mentor. I live to make him proud. Surely you've heard of him.
Just rumors, really.
I doubt they do him justice. He is a great warrior and a greater general. I would follow him to the gates of the underworld.
How goes the war effort?
The Athenian blockade was a desperate attempt to stop our advance through Megaris. Now we can prepare to drive them from this region once and for all. Our forward scouts are identifying key targets in preparation for our assault. Under the Wolf's command, we shall be victorious.
Why do you need a mercenary to do that? You seem to have plenty of soldiers at your disposal.
It's not a question of manpower. The Megarians are our allies. We do not want to commit troops until we know victory is assured. My scouts are already locating
Yes,
key
so
targets that we
there.
can hit.
The Megarians have obviously been returned
I'll help you rid Megaris
to
of
the
Athenians
Peloponnesian
for a
League,
price.
so they are
Typical of your
allies with
No
Sparta.
honor or sense of duty. But your skills are better serving us than
And Sparta kind of
the
gets
Athenians
dragged
already have a
into
mercenary working for
defending
them. They
Megaris.
don't need more help.
Megara,
If we can draw the leader out and eliminate him,
and it does lead
crush
to
the
a
Athenians
massive
on the
battle.
and drive their forces all the way back to Athens, destroying their supplies,
But that's 'cause of
stealing their
Corinth.
war chest, and killing their elite troops should leave him vulnerable. Take this and present it to my scouts. If you find them in the field, be sure to check for new information. They might also have need of your skills.
Where is the Athenian leader?
He is in Megara, hiding behind stone walls and a full garrison of troops. But if you kill his troops, destroy his supplies, and steal his riches, then he'll be open to attack.
What supplies should I destroy?
Anything the Athenians need. Look for crates of supplies and weapons. The port of Nicaea in the valley of King Lelech would be a good place to start. It's where their supplies come into the region.
This chest you want me to steal. Why is it so important?
An army is made of men that need pain. Take away the drachmi, and they lose all the will to die for other men's ambitions. The Athenians keep their treasure well guarded in the fort at the foot of Mount Yerania.
I think I know what must be done.
Remember, every Athenian soldier you eliminate will also help us achieve victory.
And once I've brought the Athenians to their knees for Sparta, I'll get that meeting with Nikolaos. Or you'll be next.
Send those Athenian dogs to Hades, Misthios. Do this, and the wolf will personally see to it that you are rewarded.
Pretty nice. But
If I want to get close to the wolf, I'll have to help Stentor
as I've
defeat the
said,
Athenians.
for 30 years
Shouldn't
peace
waste any time.
happens. It's a treaty, it only lasts for like 15 years, when it's supposed to last for 30. And Megara is returned to the Peloponnesian League. Oh yeah, here I was just doing a bit of customizing, but you're gonna see later on I don't like this look. But that's, there isn't really much else exciting about Megara. But we made it. Megaris, front lines of the war. And Stentor was right, because controlling Megaris basically limited how many troops Athens could get to their front lines. So this whole area is pretty key in the Peloponnesian Wars. Anyway, for any of those philosophers listening out there, Megara does house the Megarian school of philosophy,
Could be one of
famous for
Stentor's
the use of
scouts.
logic and
Looks like
dialect.
he's run
I'll
into
get
some
every last
problems.
Athenian responsible for this.
What happened here?
What business is it of yours, Misthios? Do you know anything about
Just
this?
got here, bro.
I'm a professional. And a friend.
But what's that supposed to mean?
If it had been me, I'd have been smart enough to try and hide the evidence.
Fair point. Whoever did this was brazen and foolish, leaving it to be so easily discovered.
Or they wanted to send a message. Stentor sent me. I'm here to help wherever I can.
Yeah, bro.
Stentor sent you?
Sparta doesn't fully control Megaris yet. It's easier for me to move freely in certain areas of Megaris than a Spartan.
The Athenians have proven more resilient here than expected. But they will not
Before
That's
stand.
also
Sparta,
true of,
yes,
like,
I've heard the
slaves and
speeches.
wars.
But until that glorious day
They
comes,
can
we should find
move
out what
between
happened
places
here.
pretty easily
Do you
now.
have any ideas?
Just FYI.
Not yet, but I will. I should get a closer look to figure out what happened here. These were professional soldiers. Slaughtered
Anyway,
to a man.
Megarian school of
I don't
philosophy
think
founded
bandits
by
could have done
Euclid
this.
of Megara, the Socratic philosopher, not the math geezer who gave us geometry. That is Elucid of
Supplies are missing.
Alexandria.
They can't have gone far, though. They didn't
But
use
the degree
cards.
itself, yikes, the decree
Looks like
itself.
they went this way.
What is
into
it?
The forest.
And why does it come out?
Don't think I'll find
And
anything
also,
else.
why does such a
should report
small
back.
little bit of paper lead to an outbreak of war? Well,
So was
In
it the
short,
Athenians?
I found some fragments of a green crystal.
it's a
Bandits,
set
then.
of economic
The mountains
sanctions.
here are riddled with caves, and the war has made them brazen.
Nothing about this adds up.
In what way?
There's no bodies. At least not any assailants. Athenians would have taken the carts and their dead. But bandits would have left their fallen in the dust.
But then who did it?
I'm not sure. Whoever did this went into the forest. So I'll start by looking there.
So it's a set of economic sanctions. levied upon Megara in 432 BC by the Athenian Empire shortly before the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War. So remember, the war starts in 431. The reason that this decree was imposed is because of the Megarians' supposed trespass on land sacred to Demeter, or Demeter, known as the Hira Orgas. So, the Hira Orgas. It's basically sacred land, sacred to Demeter and Persephone, who are, like the goddesses of like springtime and growth and all that kind of stuff. Oh, this guy just snuck off me out of nowhere. And the decree, what it does is bars Megara from any sort of trade. It bans the Megarians from harbours and marketplaces throughout the large Athenian Empire, effectively strangling the Megarian economy. In Athens is the largest empire there. It's all over the place. We have the Delian League that eventually became the empire. All around the world. He's most likely also affected Megara's allies, and it might have been seen as a move by Athens to weaken its rivals, mainly Sparta, and extend its influence. What I'm talking about. You see, my favourite thing to do is Spartan kick people off a cliff. I didn't do it there, but I was trying to. So, both Thucydides and Plutarch record that the cultivation of Hira Orgas by the Megarians was one of the complaints that Athens used to justify its decree. Obviously there's a lot of debate over this, right? It seems quite harsh to ban a small city-state from all ports and markets under Athenian control. The Megarians themselves, though, they don't deny the accusation, or at least we don't have any record of them denying the accusation, but their ambassadors do complain of the severity of the Athenian response towards this. I think Pericles probably just used the dispute for his own political purposes and to make himself bigger and better. But to be fair, the success of the stance that he took towards protecting the Hira Orgas demonstrates the significance of the religious considerations in the dispute.
There's food being cooked near here.
I hope that makes sense. All we need to know then is the decree stopped the Megarians from any sort of trade throughout basically all of the Peloponnese, all of that sort of area in the ancient world.
Is this a private gathering? Or can anyone join?
What are you? Please, please just leave.
So I followed a trail that started with slaughtered Spartans and stolen goods, and ends with you. And the supplies, all hiding quietly in a cave.
We just took the food. We didn't hurt anyone.
You'd better tell me why I shouldn't just kill you and return the goods.
Please, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
You're the sorriest band of thieves I've ever seen.
By the gods, no! We're citizens of Megara. Please, show mercy. This war has already cost us dearly.
Like the mercy you showed those Spartan soldiers?
We just took some food. Irkanos told us to take it, said he'd make it easy for us.
Irkanos?
Yes, the mercenary. He said he'd provide food. Told us the Athenians would never let their people go hungry.
Explain yourselves. It's not wise to anger the Spartans.
Please, we're not thieves. This is our food, our crops. They left us with nothing.
I haven't
Our
killed you
children
yet.
are starving.
Ah, so you repay theft with murder. A fine lesson for your children.
Murder!
Ouch.
No! Please, we never harmed anyone.
Mistios told us where to find the food. Everyone was already dead.
Enough! I didn't come here for a debate. It's too late for talk now. I came to find who's behind this crime against Sparta. Stand aside. You don't need to die today. I'm returning the supplies to the Spartans.
Then you will do so over our dead bodies.
Don't be stupid. Take some of the
What are you
food, enough to
talking about?
get by. I'll say I killed you and claimed what was left. They will be satisfied.
But the food! What of our families?
Your families will not benefit from your death. Accept my offer and don't steal again. It won't be me who
Got
comes
some
for you
nerve.
next time.
Maybe I
Yes,
should have just killed them all.
Mistios. Thank you. Hurry! Take what you can carry and go! Quick!
Funny people. Well, whatever the reasons, whatever the motivation for the decree, it certainly strained the fragile semblance of any sort of peace that might have been existing between Athens and Sparta. Thucydides has a long sort of, I guess you would call it like appeal or law court, in which Spartan and Athenian embassies and envoys
Thank the gods they didn't try to fight. I
discuss
wasn't in the mood to
anything
keep
that they
starving
can do
civilians today.
to stop the outbreak of the war. But I think it's a bit of a ruse. Really, I think by the time Thucydides writes this, Athens is very much ready for war. I also think Sparta kind of wants this war as well. And I don't know if So the actual significance of the decree then in the outbreak of the war, that's heavily contested. Because, and I guess I do understand, but like I asked earlier on, how does a small piece of paper have any influence in an outbreak of a war? But really, what am I asking? I'm asking, how does a treaty impact the outbreak of a war? And I think, you know,
Spartans will get their supplies
most
back,
wars
which
tend
will
to be
help
for
against the
the
Athenians.
breaking of a treaty
That's all that
or
matters.
the implementation of an unfair treaty, right? So I guess it kind of makes sense. But looking aside from Thucydides, who writes the history of the Peloponnesian War, but who himself is an Athenian, so do we trust it? Kind of. Another bit of evidence, and the main bit of evidence for the significance of the decree that we have, that still exists, comes from Aristophanes. Aristophanes is an ancient playwright and a satirist of the time.
Did you find the ones responsible?
I found your supplies
And he
with a bunch of hungry Megarians.
And?
writes
You stole that food from them. They
the
were starving.
Arcadians, or
The supplies were essential for the war,
however
ridding Megara of
one
the Athenians.
wishes to pronounce it.
Hungry
Around
Megarians are the least of your
45
worries. But there's
So,
something else. Have you
about
heard of a
6
mercenary
years
called
after this time.
Irkanos?
Irkanos. Yes, he's working for the Athenians, so the rumors go.
This is all his doing.
These mercenaries are persistent, I'll give them that. You've done well here, but if you really want to help Sparta, I have a task for you.
What did you have in mind?
Hunt him down. Show him that no mercenary dog will interfere with Sparta's plans.
Since you have such a high opinion of mercenaries, why even send me?
I'm sorry.
Wait,
It's just this man, Irkanos, is like
I
a
am
thorn
a
in our
mercenary
foot.
dog that
He's a
interferes
menace
with
to all
Sparta's plans.
Spartans here. Please, will you help us?
I'll do it. If he's this much trouble,
I
I
suppose
take it there's a
so.
sizable reward.
Of course. Just think of how much he'll have on him with all the drachmi
right.
Athens has given him to thwart our plans.
Oh, I
Suppose
guess.
you're right. Any idea where to start looking?
He could be anywhere. Most likely, he's nestled up close to the Athenians. We've sent out a couple of patrols, but they never returned. And we can't spare any more men at this time.
Sometimes you're better sending a woman anyway.
Not gonna argue with that. Can't argue with that. But Aristophanes, he writes a play in 45 BC called the Arcanians. And in it, he mentions how the decree left the Megarians slowly starving, and it caused them to appeal to Sparta for aid. So this is a loose translation of what he says. Then Pericles, aflame with ire on his Olympian height, let loose the lightning,
So this
caused
is
the
what
thunder
war
to
is
roll,
like.
upset Greece
Not
and
what the
passed
stories make
Eden,
it up.
which ran like the song, that the Megarians be banished both from our land and from our markets and from the sea and from the continent. Meanwhile, the Megarians, who were beginning to die of hunger, begged the Spartans to bring about the abolition of the decree, of which those harlots were the cause. Several times we refused their demand, and from that time there was horrible clatter of arms
The capital
everywhere.
Megara. If the leader's anywhere, he'll be here.
So, let's kind of read into that first. Pericles, Aristophanes refers to him as Zeus, right? Pericles let loose the lightning, caused the thunder to roll. being compared to Zeus, it kind of sounds like a good thing, right? Who doesn't want to be compared to king of the gods? Literally the most powerful deity ever known to Greeks. The most powerful deity in the entire Greek pantheon. But, and I'm gonna explore a bit more about Zeus's stories and affairs, he is not a particularly great role model, shall I say. Not exactly someone that you should look up to, certainly not in today's age. Today's day and age? Sounds about right. And he says, the Megarians were banished from everywhere, from the land, from the market, from the sea, and from the continent. That much we know to be pretty true, right? The treaty is pretty standard treaty. Can't really argue with something like that, something as black and white as that. Then he goes on to say, the Megarians were beginning to die of hunger, and they begged the Spartans to bring about the end of the decree. So if you remember, I was saying earlier how because of this decree, the Spartans' hand was kind of forced into this conflict. And it's from that time there was the horrible clatter of arms everywhere. From that time, the Peloponnesian War really began.
Away, child of Hephaestus!
Now self on fire. Normally, very nice. We should be kind of careful about using plays as sources, particularly comic plays, because they tend to be exaggerated. You know, obviously for humor, you know, for shits and giggles. Fair enough. I'm not gonna sit here and deny that. But I still think the view that Aristophanes presents here is something that we should take seriously. I was just not very stealthy with that at all. He literally heard me straight away. That's also some very bad cutting from me. But there's a Spartan kick there to make it all better for you guys. But let's look a bit more at this play. So there's one in a festival called the Linnea, which was like kind of like a competition, I suppose. So that's how poets and playwrights really kind of became successful. They would compete in like live shows and plays. Well, they wouldn't compete in the plays, obviously, but they would compete in shows and contests, and they would submit their plays. So the three biggest playwrights during this golden era are Aristophanes, Sophocles, and Euripides. I haven't said them in chronological order. Hang on. I actually don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why you... Three great tragedians of rights. They are Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. But Aristophanes is a famous comedian. Okay, a bit better. But they would submit plays into competitions to be performed, and this is how they outdid each other, and this is why we have a lot of their plays. So, for example, they obviously had competitors.
This must be Hyrcanos's camp.
They competed against each other, so Aeschylus and Sophocles sometimes. And I think Aeschylus won about 24 of the 30 competitions, and he never came any lower than second place. No, that's not. Sophocles competed in 30 competitions and he won 24 of them. Aeschylus won 13 and he was occasionally beat by Sophocles. But I'm getting off track because Aristophanes is the comic poet and he competes, or all of the poets compete at a competition called the City Dionysia, which is open to foreigners and citizens alike. The Alcanians wins in the festival of Liena, which is not for foreigners, so it's only for Athenian citizens, and the play was very successful. This success, I think, probably reflected a lot of common views. And yeah, it's Athens, and maybe they shouldn't be talking so badly about Pericles, but they've been in this war for 6 years. Pericles is long dead. Aristophanes, he uses a comic character called Dikaiopolis, and the causes of the war are explained by this character in a partly comic, partly serious kind of way. Because he does seem to be criticizing Pericles and the Megarian Decree, and these criticisms appear to be genuine, but then at the same time he's satirizing Herodotus, the historian, because Herodotus blames the war on the kidnapping of 3 girls, Io, Europa, and Medea. But I still think it's reason enough to take it seriously. Now for me personally, I think the decree was more like kindling to an already burning fire. It gave Athens, or rather Athens used it as an excuse to increase its strength and strangle the resources of its competition, Sparta.
Mercenary Hyrcanos is
It
dead.
also
Sparta thanks you,
stoked
Misthios.
Sparta into fighting.
What about my reward?
We never entered into a contract. This is something you did yourself. But be assured, Sparta is grateful.
Great.
For me, the Megarian Decree is one of the 4 major contributing factors to the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War, but for others, its extent is disputed. But that's it for the Megarian Decree. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I've tried something a little bit different this time, in that I've recorded the gameplay first and then I've done a voiceover over it. Let me know if you like that. I think it was easier for me to talk about stuff and not get distracted, but I don't know if it felt as genuine as you would have liked. Anyway, if you did like what you just saw and heard, and you feel like you've learned even this much, it would mean so much to me if you leave it a like, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. If not, then just go away and never watch anything else that I ever do ever again, because what's the point? See you next time.